Hey, and welcome back to 1000 Details. Today I got one of my most beloved #1 bucket list synths I could ever ask, the Buchla Easel Command, or the 208C. I've craved for this for so many years, and the day that I got it, I was, well, I have no words actually. This was one of my, I don't know what to say, but most precious things that I wanted to get when I started doing music, because for some reason all this mystery around Don and the instruments from Buchla and all of that, I don't know, it drawn to me. Plus, for me, it's one of those pieces that has infinite value in terms of sound, in terms of build quality, in terms of being something special in reality. And I have this since 2021 now, I guess, if I'm not mistaken. And it was a funny story because I just bought it completely crazy, one of those things that you should not do. And I risked it and said, okay, time to buy it. And 2 days after, I was unemployed, and I was like, oh man, this was the worst time. But risk does compensate, and I couldn't be happier with this piece of gear. Sure, I get it, it's an expensive piece, not for everyone. You can say a lot of things to avoid and get one of those. I get it. Even for me, this is a lot of money. I took a gamble, I went crazy, and well, now I'm happy with this. But the thing is, I do believe that if you are a synth enthusiast, music producer, you got a studio with a few pieces of gear, sure, you don't need to have expensive gear to do good music, we agree on that. But I think owning one marvelous, insanely good, crazy, even expensive piece of gear in your studio, it's a must-do. Not only to know how much it costs and how much you'll suffer paying money for such a thing, but also because I'm pretty much sure you'll enjoy it. Knowing that you paid good, hard-working money to get something and make it breathe and do something with it, it will be a rewarding experience. So I do get it, and this is my video on how I use this, why I love it, and a tribute, let's say, let's put it that way. So before we start, I just want to do a brief presentation. It's widely available online. Everybody knows this, or at least knows the looks of the easel. It's been around for many years, had many iterations. This is the latest one, and I do like that Buchla did a version like this. I would prefer have the case with the keyboard and the new module to control everything in here, but at the time it didn't exist. But I'm more than happy with this. So the easel is maybe the exponent of West Coast synthesis. It has 2 voices, it has an envelope generator, a pulsar, a 5-step sequencer, 2 low-pass gates. It established a lot of concepts that nowadays you have on Eurorack or other synths, and it's here to stay, honestly. But the way and the reason I love this instrument, it's because it obliges you to be constantly playing it. You can use it as a set and dispose and just leave it be instrument, for sure. But I find more pleasure when I'm playing around with all the controls of the envelopes, the wave shaper, everything here feels to me that it was created for people to play it, to enjoy playing it. And I do like a lot that. For sure, It will require you a lot of focus on the easel when you're using it, but at the same time, you can transmit much more humane feelings. Like, you'll do a lot of mistakes. The faders or sliders, I want to call them, they are very good, but it's very, very easy to not get the same position you had before. And it gifts you with cool new sounds by experimentation. It is a machine made to experiment, for sure, but also one to tweak. And that drew me into having one of these. Not only because for me it sounds really good and I can do a lot of different sounds with this, but because it obliges me to play it, something that I do love to do with instruments, play them. Some, for sure, you can just leave them and they'll be playing and you can use that as a loop or whatever. Others are more tailored to be played, like this one. So in the beginning you were hearing the Buchla only, and now I'm gonna show you what I was playing. And I was using it for a little bit of kind of a bassline, low frequency synth going on here. Two voices, one modulating the other, but at the same time getting out. So I'm gonna show it to you. And man, there's something in this wave shaper and the way it hits on the low pass that is amazing. Right now I'm using this just as a low pass filter of the low pass gate. But we can do a combined version. And this for me sounds really good. Now if I add a kick and a sub, our kind of low end bass and synth just full of groove now. And another thing, this is fully raw, okay? I'm not sending this to any pedal, anything. The only thing that I have, I guess, it's a little bit of delay on the digitact over here and a little bit of reverb, but we can sounds good all the same. But we are doing techno, so delays and reverbs are obliged to be employed and used. And to sequence it, I'm using the CVN gate from the Oxy one into the Buchla. This is a good thing, a good addition, that you can use normal Eurorack CV gate levels to be able to sequence. There's also MIDI in this. You can use, for example, your digitact to sequence the easel. But I'm so used to the Oxy one that I honestly prefer to use as my sequencing piece. I also use a lot of times just the sequencer here, and I just clock in the pulsar and leave it be. So how do I use this most of the times? I will say between basslines and synths. It's where I use it the most on my tracks. But I also love to sit down just with the easel and do textures, noises, all this kind of textural sound, let's call it this way, to fill in tracks or add more depth to the tracks. This is a beast to do those kind of sounds. But in my opinion, you can do anything with this as long as you're willing to spend some time and learn how to do it. So let's do something here. Let's put this basically pretty much default. So let's start with this default, okay? Nothing going on here. And I'm gonna go and pick something here from my digitact. Okay, why not? This is fine. Fine, good enough. Let's clean up this thing here. And the way that I start building this normally, it's by using the complex selector, so the main voice, let's call it the main voice. And what I do normally is first as you can see, you cannot hear anything, you have to raise your low pass and open your envelope generator and start to pitch in stuff. And you have your typical Buchla bongos. And as always work, let's add something here. Range bias. Okay, for now it's good. And maybe you're used or not with frequency modulation. And what you can do is modulate the complex oscillator with the modulation oscillator. So this modulating this. You can even then send this to modulate this. There's a lot of routing you can do here. But I would like to build more of a bassline sound for this patch. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna pitch this low. Maybe add a few more notes here. Okay, feels nice. And now. Right now this is on a sine wave, totally sine wave. And good. Now you're using a triangle wave to modulate this. And I would like, let me see something here, what? Now I'm adding up the modulation oscillator to the output as well. Let's see. Good. And now what I want to do here is I want this on square and I want my sequence, so this one, to kind of modulate this here. Not too much. Maybe sustain this a little bit more. And now the wave shaper. And we can tune this a little bit better. And I also want my envelope to modulate so spring or tank here. Good. Now let's add some more stuff in here. So to explain what I'm doing here, I'm just finding here a groove to go. I like this sound, so I'm just searching for a sound here. So the tonality, right? I'm not yet convinced by this sequence for sure, but I'm just trying to shape the sound here. Oh, good. Good, this is good. And as you can see, this invites you to experiment a lot. It's one of the few machines that I do know a little bit what it might come out, but most of the times I'm clueless of what will be the final result, honestly. And okay, let's go here. Let's put a more density here, less random. And less ties. Good. This is nice. So I want to use my Let's see. And normally the way that I use this on my tracks is exactly switching stuff and moving stuff. Again, I'm a sucker for using the envelopes to create other feelings and ideas. Like, okay, near a break. Sure, can you modulate this a little bit? Yes, you can. Is it easy? Not as much as you might imagine, but I like the way the way you play the instrument. That's what I love. And now if we want back to using just like a VCA here. Since I'm using the pulsar, it will be very short. And another thing that I find with the easel is it does fit very well a lot of palettes of sound. You won't have a very hard time fitting this on anything. Sure, it sounds loud, it sounds heavy many times, but you can easily make it fit. Now, let's do something different here. You heard this sound many times for sure in a lot of techno. And it feels like I don't know, an airplane or some stuff like that. And now you can even switch from FM, frequency modulation, to amplitude modulation, which creates a completely different sound. And this sounds, it does still fit in a little bit in the bassline kind of sound. Yeah, it sounds like a synth, it could also be a bassline. Now way less. See, with just a few tweaks you can get a lot of different sound. And normally what I seek with this is different sounds. Stuff that doesn't sound that normal or regular. Strange, it's the way that I will put it. I want the strange sounds coming out from here. And this is what I really love about this machine. It does get strange very quickly. Now, let's get this one out. Now we have a bass line. Yeah, for those more hypnotic vibes, for sure. And you can spice this up. You can even, I do like sometimes to use the random voltage. And let it be. Let the randomness do what she wants to do. Embrace, I won't say controlled chaos, because it is a little bit of controlled chaos, because it's only going every time there's a trigger going on the Oxy. But yeah. Those were just a few examples. You can hear the spring inside of this. There's just a few examples of bass lines that I like to get, and many times I just use this as bass and then I have a sub, for example, or the opposite. It has a lot of life in here. You can sense and you can feel that it's doing what you ask him to do, but also it's also doing its own thing. Kind of it was like alive. And that's the beauty of it, is, like I said, a controlled chaos, but at the same time, an organism. That's why I will always speak with this with a lot of care and love. Sure, I might be very biased about this synth, but it is what it is. It's my precious thing in the studio. Like I said, my #1 bucket list item. Bass lines, we covered that. And I also use this a lot for synths. And I won't say that I do those melodic kind of stuff in here, no. But more of those typical techno, not very musical, correct synths. More on the plucky side. It depends really. But let's try and build something much more on the synth side, so plucky or not, and maybe something more musical in a way. Despite this sounding a little bit crazy and different, it also sounds very musical to my ears. Sure, you can make it go completely off the roof, for sure, but it does sound musical. There's music in this. And you can feel it, and I'll try to do my best to show it to you. So, let me change here again stuff. So we have something new and different. Why not? Let's erase here. Okay. So here's our bass thing, right? What I'm gonna do here is this time I'm gonna show you a few tricks that I use. So I'm gonna use this on keyboard mode, not the Motion one. Now I'm affecting the pitch of the complex oscillator. And the way I roll, you guys already know, I start with random and then I adjust. Let's see here, a range of 11 semitones, less density, less random. sure. For now it sounds all very beautiful and amazing sounds. Good. More in this territory, so changing the root node. This right here. And you can even do another cool thing, which is to the sequence that I'm sending here, I'm adding up the pulse sequencer to also affect the pitch of the complex oscillator. Just a tiny bit, and I want my envelope and what I'm doing is right now I'm just trying to push where do I want the sound to be, and then again I'll find a sequence that fits me. I never stress too much with this. I just put something going on so that I can sound design it, let's call it this way. I can tweak stuff so it is closer to something that I am pleased about, and this is what I'm doing. And I always love to add the modulation oscillator into this. It always adds something interesting and cool, in my opinion. Good. Now back to the drawing board here. And it's tapes only. And let's do something here. I like this. Wonky funky thing going on here. Just an 8-step sequence. And it's a loop basically. It's nothing random is going on around here. But it sounds alive for me, and I love this feeling of organic sound on such squared and mathematical sound, let's call it this way. And now adding a little bit of just that tension pad down there. Yep. And you can just leave this and be like a perk thing going on there. I don't know, but for me, this low end and mid frequency sounds going all the time. I don't know, man. It makes me really happy. So yeah, this is an example here, and then I'm pleased about it. Let's just hear it like this. It sounds good. Good. It does sound really well for my ears, in my opinion. And this is one way I do things. And the other way, it's not using an external sequencer, right? I'm not gonna go and use that. Now what I'm gonna do is basically clock it. So in this mode, I'm clocking the easel. 16 steps, in tune with this, right? And I want to start build up with the pulse sequencer this time. So oh, gnarly sound. And for this to have change or do anything, immediately. Oh yeah, of course, this is add the bass line here. That's deep tone down there. And what I want to use this time will be to have the sequencer affecting the timbre here. Nice. And now let's add my envelope to let's see what we can do with a little bit more of delay here. Reverb for sure. Such a characteristic sound. Like this, you have a typical, let's call it West Coast synth. Not much effort in here. Still, you can quite modulate a few more things in here. Let me go pick up here a cable. And I can even do something which I really like, which is to modulate so this modulating the complex oscillator, modulating the modulation oscillator. And as you can see, a big part of the bass line here and the synth is coming from here. So all this groove you're hearing, it's part of the synth and the bass line here. And why not a 4-step? Something very simple. You can even tune this. Now bring in the modulation oscillator in here. Oops. Oops. The thing is, as soon as you start touching it and evolving, it's, for me at least, it's very hard to then settle on something else. Oh, this is awesome, I want to use this. And I always get into that craziness. Let's just hear the patch as it is. Something very deeper tone, for sure. You then start adding the modulation oscillator here. And you can play with all of this. And if you want to go back to the 5 steps, why not? So, quite a few things. There's a lot of stuff in YouTube that you can find about the easel. A lot of good people doing nice stuff with this. Mainly they're onto more experimental stuff, sure, but I do strongly believe that you can use this as an instrument for techno or any other kind of music. You just have to tweak it and make sure that you'll invest some time understanding it. Things that I also use, but in this case I just wanted to showcase the full thing working itself to make it justice. I used to process this a lot via Eurorack with other filters and some more effects and stuff to add another depth to this. Modulating this from Eurorack into here for sure opens a wide new palette of sounds for sure. But all in all, I really enjoy this thing. It's like a scientist lab, like I said. You just have to go with the flow and experiment with this. On the final notes here and hearing this loopy bleepy stuff, I'm not the biggest fan of bleepy techno, but I like this a lot. I hope you enjoyed. This was just a little show and tell, nothing that deep. I didn't want to go very deep into this thing because it could be hours here, but just to show you that with a little bit of effort, tweaking, experimentation, and just let yourself go, you can get really cool stuff. Many of you will ask, well, you can just use some VST that emulates this and blah 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 and whatever. Sure, you can do that with every synth everywhere. Do you need this on your studio? Well, maybe yes, maybe no. If If it was me, and if you ask me if yes, sure, just try it or play with it once. It is quite an interesting instrument to try stuff on, in my opinion. So this video was a little bit of my love letter to Don and his legacy and the easel. Nothing that crazy or wow factor. I just wanted you to experiment the same feelings that I have when I do music here. As always, like and subscribe. Check my affiliate links below. See you on the next one. Enjoy.